Hi guys, it's Phoebe from Who's Phoebe and welcome back to another Doctor video. I wasn't originally going to film today because I had some kind of news that took me by surprise today, but I thought, can't let that bother me. So, before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know my channel will finish regenerating by January 12th. That's the date of my new channel coming out. So yeah, Vlogmas will continue as always. Vlogmas starts Wednesday, so all good on that front. This video is sponsored by Doctor Who Addicts, a group that I am a mod on. I really love the group. I love help managing it. Also, I want to thank my two best mates from the Gallifrey Multiverse. We did a watch along yesterday with this episode and I've got their opinions as well in my head to tell you guys to import onto this episode. So, without any further ado, let's get on with the review. So this review is Doctor Who Series 13, Flux, Episode 5, Survivors of the Flux. Now, this episode, wow. At the end of the Next Time trailer last week, I wasn't expecting Unit to come back, because Unit has apparently been disbanded since the Chibnall days. God help me, but I like how they brought Unit back. I loved the idea of the nod to Lethbridge Stewart, like Colonel Lethbridge Stewart. But the thing I have to mention here is the Unit dating controversy. This makes the Web of Fear episode really pointless because Unit didn't start until the second Doctor serial Web of Fear, which I'm just going to look now for you guys. I can check for you guys when that was. That was 1968 and it went to Unit 1967, which kind of confuses the dating controversy. It was already confused in Mordrin Undead, which I will at some point I'll do a video on the Unit dating controversy with those dates and explain why everything is wrong. Explain why everything is put in the wrong order. This kind of confuses the Unit dating controversy for me now. It kind of makes the second Doctor serial, The Web of Fear, making Unit be there for like a year. It's confusing anyway, point be it. So I did like Unit in this. I liked Kefra Stewart in it, Jenna Redgrave. I thought she did a fantastic job of playing Kate Stewart again. I absolutely loved it. There's also other parts of this story which I absolutely adored. I need next to use a prop for this. Actually, where is it? Here it is. This is the next thing that I loved about the story, is they introduced the fob watch. Now, if you guys remember, I do have a replica. This isn't the actual one, but this is, I got it off Wish. But this is a replica of the 10th Doctor's fob watch that he used, Tim and Martha had, in the Human Nature and Family of Blood. Now, I came up with a theory about this containing the Doctor's missing memories, and I didn't even know until yesterday that the theory was true. So this contains the Doctor's missing memories. So I thought that was a bonus because the fob watch contains the Doctor's missing memories. So I thought this was a nice little callback to that. Thought this was a nice little callback to having a fob watch again, and I just thought that's actually really good. That gets extra points because that's an amazing piece of the Doctor's history that they've got the fob watch that the Division put the Doctor's missing memories in. We also met Tecte Un again, which we haven't seen since the Timeless Child, since the Timeless Children, and what the Master said was happened to all be true, and I thought, oh my god, that's a you didn't see that coming Doctor Who moment, which I definitely think is worth it all the time. So yeah, I definitely think that was worth it, having that. I loved the call outs to Lethbridge Stewart and Osgood. We get a little shout out to Osgood when Kate Stewart says she has to go dark. I'm not sure about the Grand Serpent though. He was in Vinder's timeline, so now having him in the Unit timeline, infiltrating Unit from 1967 is a bit like, what the hell? But he was a good character, I will admit, to be honest. I will admit he was a great character to have. And I did like the whole snake thing being absorbed. That kind of reminded me of the Death Eater mark in Harry Potter, having that snake thing, like Nagini. It's funny that should be brought up in a Doctor Who review. I definitely did like the fob watch element to it in the story. Definitely thought the fob watch was an interesting thing that they used for the division. I liked how we got an explanation to what the flux is. The flux is virtually a creation of the division to basically just destroy one universe into another and then hold another universe, all converging on Earth. So I thought that was an interesting element to have. Oh, this video's got a spoiler warning on it, by the way. So yeah, I definitely thought that was an interesting element to have. I definitely liked how the Doctor breaks out of the Weeping Angel form straight away the second you hit her, which I think is kind of a bit strange but interesting. This story was a bit all over the place, but there's a good reason for that, because obviously this episode is like the last episode before the final. It gets all the characters where they need to be. Speaking of characters, let's talk about Yaz, Dan and Jethro. My favourite TARDIS trio right now are the 13th Doctor, Yaz and Dan, but they needed to get to the tunnels in Liverpool, so that was like, they had to get the characters where they needed to be, which I'll explain. So Dan, Yaz, Jethro and Williamson, we now know, and I'm always going to call him Tunnel Dude, but are all lined up outside Liverpool tunnels. That's where they're going to be for the next story. You've got Belle with Carvanista now, so you've got Belle with Carvanista, you've got Vinda with the passengers, you've got Swarm and Shielda with the Doctor. Basically, in this episode, they got the characters to where they need to be, which I think is a great idea because it sets up the final. If the characters where the writers need them to be now, it sets up the final nicely, I think. I liked the elements of the Doctor, Yaz and Jethro, Yaz, Dan and Jethro being in different places. Dan figuring out that they have to be in Liverpool 1904 to be at the tunnels where they're being excavated in the 21st century. So I actually liked that element of that as well. I liked the idea of Dan being a stowaway, and I kind of liked that Jedi hologram the Doctor left for Yaz in her pocket. For like 2 weeks away from each other, it would activate and then she would send a message. And I kind of like that. I like that idea. It's like kind of like the Doctor and Martha's relationship, that they mean so much to each other that even apart they miss each other, which I think is really sweet. I do like the nod to Osgood in this, even though we don't see her. I like the nod of Osgood. I would really like to see Martha Jones back in the final. I don't know why. It's just she used to be working for UNIT, so if she was, what's she doing now? Is she divorced? Has she got a kid? Like, we know she's got a kid from that Farewell Sarah Jane lockdown thing, but did she go back to UNIT after leaving? I don't know. But I would really like to see Martha, or at least a mention of Martha from Kate Stewart herself, a mention of Martha in the story at some point, whether Kate Stewart mentions Martha or something like that. I'd really like to see like a nod to Martha for what she's doing nowadays, so at least that way then we have like a conclusion to it. I liked how, I think this is definitely one of Jodie Whittaker's best episodes, because I always say that she works better without companions, but I loved the idea of Tech Tae-eun being like, what do you want, Doctor? Like telling her daughter off. I also do like the idea that, like what Tech Tae-eun says about the Doctor always adopting companions and taking them travelling around the universe is exactly what Tech Tae-eun did with the Doctor. I also think that the Doctor's thinking like, the Doctor not happy about obviously the division separating themselves across the universe. I like that element of it. I liked the element of it. I thought that was actually quite cool to have that element in. I thought that was actually quite cool to have that in. The Doctor not being happy about it and then she's saying it's personal. I also love the ood in this as well. Like it's just one ood, but the point still stands. I do love a good ood, and I thought the ood was a great addition to the story. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was amazing to have an ood as part of the division. So yeah, I also love the idea of the Grand Serpent, Vinda, Belle. I love how that one Leparo ship kind of separated from Earth. They're all getting a bit bored now, and that Carvanista is having to drag another Lipari ship from like halfway across the universe, God knows how he did it, into hyperjump, and he meets Belle, and then obviously things like that as well. What I thought was definitely surprising is the Sontarans coming back in this after being in the incredible War of the Sontarans episode. I didn't think we'd see them again, but I do like the element of going like, what the actual hell, when you see obviously the Grand Serpent talking to a Sontaran. I think that's actually quite a good moment. Like, I thought that was actually quite cool. I definitely do love the idea of the Sontarans coming back. So yeah, I definitely do love the idea. It's absolutely fantastic. I loved every second. Belle wasn't particularly happy about Carvanista hijacking the Lipari ship, but to be fair, he did it in the best interests. He did it in the best interests to keep Earth safe. I love how the Doctor questions the Division, and the Division offer her a choice. Give her her missing memories and rejoin the Division, or save the universe and fail. That cliffhanger annoys me slightly, that one, because it's like when Swarm kind of says, "You're next, Doctor," after killing Tecteun. It's kind of annoying because it's like next week we know the Doctor's going to survive, we know the Doctor's going to save the universe, so you know, it's kind of like a meh kind of moment. But I did like the idea of a cliffhanger, except I'd really kind of wish that they didn't end the cliffhanger. I will admit this series has been like a very cliffhanger heavy, a cliffhanger every single week. Next week we probably won't get any cliffhangers. I do like how in this episode as well, they were starting to wrap up a lot of the Timeless Child story arc stuff, like that Chibnall is now starting to wrap a lot of the Timeless Child storyline stuff, like knowing that the Doctor's memories are in the Fob Watch, knowing what the Division is, knowing what the flux is. He's tying a lot of that Timeless Child stuff. I do love how the Doctor said that she might have been left under the wormhole to be collected or taken through. I don't know, but I did like the idea of that. So yeah, I definitely do think that this episode was amazing. It got all the characters to where they needed to be. Yaz was definitely on point. Yaz was probably the most on point in this episode, because she's acting more like the Doctor and saying there's no point being squeamish. There is one thing that Michael said when we were watching the episode, that he hates it when someone dies before they can get questions out, which I thought was really annoying, but good point. Thank you very much for that, Michael. If you're watching this, then hi. So yeah, I also just thought that this episode was fantastic. It was better than the whole Weeping Angels stuff last week, which I raved on about for God knows how long. But yeah, I definitely liked this episode. I definitely thought this episode was great in getting the characters where they needed to be. I also like that cheeky little reference to that hermit dude. I don't even know his like proper name, so I'm just going to call him Hermit Dude for now. Hermit Dude. I liked the idea of him going, "Fetch your dog," and then the fact that Yaz, Dan and Jeffro go to the Great Wall of China, which was really filmed in Wales, saying Carvanista, Dan is here 1904, fetch your human, and then obviously Carvanista sees it and thinks, "I don't have time travel, you idiot." And I just think that's such an iconic line that he goes, I don't have time travel, you idiot. And I just think that's an awesome line to have in that. Like, Carvanista's probably one of my favourite Doctor Who characters now, like Doctor Who kind of creatures that they've definitely created. So I definitely do like him. He's got a bit of comic relief to it. I liked the whole reference to other stuff in the series, like Lethbridge Stewart. That was a good shout out. I definitely did like that. I definitely liked Unit in this episode. I definitely think it makes Revolution stand out a lot less, because obviously Revolution, they disbanded Unit for some weird reason. But Chibnall said in the bringing Unit back, he was always going to bring Unit back. He wasn't going to like keep Unit discontinued permanently. So yeah, obviously Kate Stewart goes to a house at some point and she almost gets blown up, and then she's like, "Osgood, I have to go dark," meaning that she now has to like break communication so they can't find her, which I think is quite good. I'm really looking forward to next week's episode, because I looked at the trailer and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Daleks are back again in an actual series. I love the Daleks, and I'm so glad they're not just going to be in a special this year. They're back in the final of Flux. I am so excited to see how they fit into this. It's also got Cybermen and Sontarans in it. It's got Daleks, Cybermen and Sontarans. The 3 scariest Doctor Who villains of all time. Or, I say scariest. The scariest are definitely the Weeping Angels, but I definitely do like the idea of Sontarans, Daleks and Cybermen all fighting in one chance, because obviously we've had Daleks and Cybermen together, but we've never had Daleks, Cybermen and Sontarans all together, so I'm definitely interested to see how this all unfolds. Now, time for ratings. The rating I would probably give this episode would be a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it, loved the nod back to unit, just loved everything about this story. It's definitely one to rewatch, absolutely. I'm so excited for when the series finishes, because then I can go back and binge watch the entire series from episodes 1 to 6. Even though this is a slightly shorter series, I definitely think it's definitely worth having it as like a... I totally understand it was a COVID series, but still the point still stands. I absolutely love this series, and can't believe it's coming to an end. By the way, I start Vlogmas this week as well. There'll be one more review, The Vanquishers, coming out next week. So yeah, apart from that, all the classic reviews are on pause because I can't do Vlogmas and film at the same time. So I'm going to do make sure I film The Vanquishers on the Monday before I start Vlogmas, have that on my iPad ready to go, and then upload that whenever I need to. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Vlogmas this year, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and make sure you click that big red subscribe button down below and click notifications bell every single time I upload. Until then, have a wibbly wobbly timey wimey day. Bye.